Greetings, my excellent friends. TheDeadMonk welcomes you to Purgatory. Epic Games and the 10-cent game store, they tried to strike again, but they failed. From Exclusively Games, we're told that Darq developer refuses Epic exclusivity to keep his word. Sounds good to me. Alright, so the author of this says, those of you who read my article covering the release announcement trailer for Darq will remember how impressed I was by the game, especially its music. Well, today I find myself even more impressed, not by the game this time, but by one of its developers. In a recent Reddit AMA, somebody asked, I'll bite, why reject Epic, if you can disclose what was their offer? And the developer responded. So here's what the developer had to say. Epic reached out to me right after I released the trailer announcing Steam release date. At that point, Darq was in the top 50 most wishlisted games on Steam. Oh, well, that's pretty good. I felt going for an exclusivity deal would show that my word means nothing, as I just had promised the game would launch on Steam. Yeah, it pretty much would mean that. Besides, Darq page was on Steam since November 2018, and a lot of people patiently kept it on their wishlist since then. I thought it was a bad idea to disappoint all those people and prove to the world that my announcements mean nothing. Sounds like some integrity. Now, here's the thing with this. My biggest beef with games going Epic exclusive is when they are crowdfunded. You do crowdfunding, you collect tons of money to fund your development of your game, promise people where they'll be able to get their game, and then you don't provide it to them in that format, well, that's a problem. Now, when a developer doesn't have any crowdfunding money and goes the Epic exclusive route, it's not as bad, it's just anti-consumer. And with this game, I couldn't find anything about crowdfunding. I don't think it was crowdfunded. I could be mistaken, but I don't think it was. So, if they had gone the Epic route, yeah, it would have meant that the word didn't actually mean anything. However, it wouldn't have been as bad as something like Phoenix Point, or I can't even think of the other big example right now. That's what happens when you go exclusive on Steam, you kind of leave my memory. I only remember Phoenix Point so much since that one's made by the people who made the original XCOM, and I love XCOM. I was really looking forward to Phoenix Point. But, maybe I'll buy it a year after it comes out. So, as far as I know, this wasn't a crowdfunded game, but still they had the integrity to keep their word and leave the game on Steam. Alright, so where are we? Epic made it clear that they reached out to me with an exclusivity deal. I politely turned them down before we had a chance to discuss any details, money offered, etc. So we don't actually know how much Epic was going to offer them. I asked them if they, and here's the important part, I asked them if they would be willing to sell Darq non-exclusively, and they explained that at this point in time, it's not something they can do. It was a polite and professional exchange. I have nothing bad to say. It just wasn't the right fit for Darq. I find this disgusting. So apparently, the game was good enough for Epic to put it on their store if they could sell it exclusively, but it's not good enough if they only get some of the sales instead of all of the sales? Why? I mean, it doesn't hurt them at all. If the developers of Darq want to have the game on every storefront, it doesn't hurt Epic at all to just also offer it. That means some money for them, just not all the money. No, they're only willing to sell your game if you go the exclusive route. Epic and Tencent, greedy as a pig. It's stuff like this that just confirms, in my mind, everything I say about Tim Sweeney, and how much he's a liar whenever he says that everything Epic's doing with the 10-cent game store is good for gamers, it's pro-consumer, it will benefit them in the long run. That's such a lie. I don't believe one word Tim Sweeney says. And as I said, it's stuff like this that reaffirms that. If you really were concerned about gamers and their benefit, you would be willing to sell Darq on your store. Because as I said, it doesn't hurt anything. It's not like having one game on your store means another game can't be on your store. It's all digital. So, yeah, this behavior is despicable. Alright, so let's see what else the author of the article has to say. Author says, now, I've bolded part of that quote because of two comments that followed pertaining to this section. First, somebody said, I mean, even if you're not on the Epic hate train, this is pretty messed up. What could possibly be their reasoning behind it? I think we know their reasoning. So then some other user said this, so this is not the developer, this is just some other user. The purpose of the Epic exclusives is to circumvent competition. Yes. Epic can't compete with Steam? Nope. So wants to buy products nobody else can sell so they don't have to compete. Now, it's not that Epic can't compete with Steam, it's that they choose not to. They could compete with Steam. Alright, Steam's not perfect. If Epic just made the 10-cent game store have more features and be more friendly to consumers, if they encouraged publishers of games to sell their games a little cheaper on Epic than they do on Steam or good old games, since they get to keep a higher portion of the sale, hey, that'd be something pro-consumer, and stuff like that would actually encourage people to buy games from Epic without having to buy exclusives. But no, they don't do that kind of stuff. They're not pro-consumer. They're just trying to stifle competition because they don't want to try to compete with Steam. Their storefront and launcher, they're just rubbish. They offer nothing to the user. They don't even have a shopping cart. It's pathetic. So this Reddit user goes on to say, that's the purpose. Yeah, stifling competition. Epic buys exclusives so they don't have to compete for your attention, because they know they'd lose. Again, if they just had a good store and offered good services, they could compete. My bet is most of the bad press is semi-intentional too. Their biggest threat is that nobody notices them and people don't visit their store. Keeping themselves in the news, even controversially, buoys them against disinterest. Well, maybe that's the case. Yeah, they say no press is bad press, right? I mean, it's not really true, but it is to an extent. They'd rather you hate them and not give a shot. They'd rather you hate them and not give a shit about them. Strong emotions is better for them, even if it's disliked. So, yeah, I mean, maybe Epic's thinking that way, but I'm not sure about that. But certainly, yeah, Epic exclusives, the only purpose is to circumvent competition, definitely. And yes, being anti-competitive, oh, that's pro-consumer, right? That's what Epic and Tim Sweeney claim. Rubbish. Let's see. Whatever the truth as to why Epic does what it does, the fact remains that the developers of Darq have demonstrated that it's possible to be an indie dev team and also have integrity. Yes. Darq is currently enjoying an overwhelmingly very positive review rating on its Steam page where you can pick it up for $20. Now, I have much respect for the developers of Darq for doing this, actually having some integrity. So let's actually take a look at the game a bit. So their website for it. So Darq, yeah, it says coming to Steam, summer 2019. Now, they only mention Steam on here, but you can get this on good old games, which is always what I recommend. I mean, if you can get a game a lot cheaper on Steam, well, yeah. I mean, I'll do the same thing. I'm going to buy it on Steam. But if it's basically the same price, I'm getting the game on good old games, so it doesn't have any DRM. Alright, so, in the game you play as this kid here, Lloyd, and just the little bit I looked at it, apparently Lloyd's dreaming and realizes he's dreaming, and the whole game is you're trying to wake up. And it's called somewhere a spooky puzzle game. So, yeah, solve some puzzles with a nice spooky atmosphere. Not really the kind of thing that I'm into, but hey, I appreciate what they've done with rejecting Epic enough here that I might pick this up. I have a lot of games to play right now. Depends on how much time I have in the next week or so to buy a game, play it, and do a review for it. So yes, that is Darq, and as I said, well, you can get it on good old games. Same price as on Steam, $20. And, oh, let's actually just pull up the video too, just to get a little bit of a look at it, although I'm going to turn off, I have the audio off already. So yeah, that's Lloyd, he's in a dream, and like I said, you have this spooky atmosphere. Go around solving some puzzles, and it looks interesting. So if this is the kind of thing that interests you, I highly encourage you to pick up Darq. Buy it on Steam, buy it on good old games, whatever you prefer. The point is, you have choice. because it's not an Epic exclusive. And why Epic refuses to let the game be available on Steam and Good Old Games and Epic. Bunch of greedy pigs. We've already been through that. Alright, so if you've made it this far, consider liking or subscribing the video. And to all you out there, don't be a bunch of anti-competitive wankers like Epic trying to stifle all competition. No, instead, you go out there and be like these people that develop Darq. You have some integrity, and you just go out there and you be excellent to each other. Farewell.